Welcome to The Testament, a podcast that spotlights the amazing real-life stories of everyday people who've been transformed by their surrender to Jesus Christ. So sit back, relax, and enjoy this episode of one of the many miraculous before and after accounts of lives forever changed by encountering the Savior.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Testament Podcast. My name is Jeff Keck.
And I'm Danny Mile. And we have with us tonight, we have Lance Mutzman, a good friend of mine. And I can't wait to hear what he has to tell us tonight. So, Lance, what do you got for us, man? Who are you? What are you about?
Well, so I'm Lance Mutzman. I own a Christian Brothers Automotive franchise, the one in Flower Mound, Texas. And I have been with the brand for coming up on 15 years in January. And so I'm excited to share my story about growing up in the brand. But I am married to my sweetheart, Courtney, which we will be celebrating our 10-year anniversary next year, 2026. And we have three beautiful kids that I'll talk about a little bit more as well. So just a little bit about me. And I love to spend a lot of time outdoors. This is a great time of year to spend outdoors. So that's where you'll find me in the woods a lot of the times right now. And I love old cars.
Yeah, you do.
You know what? Before we go any further, though, I'd like to say, and I don't know how y'all do it. I mean, when you start a Christian Brothers, is there an overall, is there a corporate training thing you go to in order to start a franchise, to start one?
Yeah, so there are a couple of different avenues if you want to get into Christian Brothers Automotive franchise. They have a route that you can take where you go and you're paying to get in a franchise fee, and you go through a specific interview process. And then there's the route that I took where I worked up from the bottom and built my way up from the bottom to franchisee through various different training programs. One of which is called the Future Franchise Leadership Academy. And it's a 2-year program designed to give qualified service managers and even technicians within the brand that have a proven track record an opportunity to eventually be able to operate and own their own location. So I was in the very first class of that program. And that was part of the training that I went through to be able to become an owner.
So I know I'm jumping off topic here. I get that. But so the reason I asked that, you see all these things all over the place, like Christian this, Christian that, Christian this. And you're like, oh, are they really like Christian? But I can tell you, I have taken my car to the Christian Brothers Automotive in Burleson, Texas, umpteen million times. And I've always been super impressed with the quality of work. I'm not always impressed with how much I have to pay. I think everybody's kind of in that boat. But I'm impressed with the way that they operate, the quality of work, the quality of the people that work there.
Yeah.
They always have Christian music in the lobby.
Yeah.
So I tend to believe that really is rooted, like that name is true to what the company is all about. So being on that aspect, would you say that that's true?
Yeah, absolutely.
Being on that end of it?
For sure. And that's even, our name is not the last name Christian of two brothers that started the business. That's not what it is. What it was a brotherhood of Christians that started this business back in a small Bible study in Houston, as a matter of fact. So our founder and CEO at the time, former CEO and founder, he said, I wanted to start an automotive business that honored God first and then gave back to the community. There happened to be a technician in that Bible study, and they opened up the very first Christian Brothers in Mission Bend, right outside Houston back in 1982. And since then, we've grown to over 300 locations across the country that are all individually owned and operated franchise organization. And I personally know the owner of that Burleson shop, and he is a fantastic man. Got to see him a couple months ago, or just a month back, at one of our training events that they have for us as franchisees throughout the year. So it was really cool.
Well, he won't know me, but you can tell him I said hi.
I will. I'll let him know.
We'll get back to business here.
Well, and Jeff, my truck is actually sitting at his shop right now, so it's got some work done on it today. I'm gonna pick it up in the morning. So
outstanding.
Yeah, I wouldn't take mine anywhere else. But Lance, so just kind of follow up to that. So Jeff, Lance, and I have the opportunity to talk several times a week. Just because of what we do together and different things. And Lance, you were telling me about some prayer time or study time or something at that training event that you went to. You kind of give a brief synopsis of that.
Yeah, so this event was it's called Rehydrate within our brand. That's what it's called, this event, and it's franchisees that meet outside of our franchisee annual convention that usually our wives and families will come to. This is a smaller version, kind of a mini convention, and it's done in between the convention periods throughout the year. And so it's in October. It's off site. It was down on Lake Conroe, and about 150, 200 franchisees attended this event over the period of a week in different groups, 3 different groups for a couple of days at a time. And during the time that I was there, well, everybody that's there, you have a period of time where you're going through different training classes in large groups and in small groups. And one of the large groups was literally called Caring for Your Team. And members of our support center got up and addressed all of us franchisees, 100, 150, about what we can do to care for our team and really take care of our people. And at the end of that training session, which was about 45 minutes to an hour, they said, we're going to take the last 15 minutes and we're literally just going to pray for our teams. Wherever you want to do it. If you want to, it was in a ballroom. So if you want to sit in the chair, if you want to kneel, you want to go in a corner, you want to just sit there, whatever you want to do, you can, to yourself out loud. However, you were in a group of other franchisees. And so literally for 15 minutes, I was in this giant ballroom in a hotel on Lake Conroe with other peers, franchisees at a business meeting. And we were encouraged to take that time to just pray for our teams, do nothing else but pray for our teams. And it was amazing. You'll have to excuse me, Jeff. I get pretty emotional when I talk about my story with the brand, with Christian Brothers. Specifically, it's done a lot for me and my family. And I know we'll probably get into that, but this is one of those things that makes it very special to be a part of this brand, is the fact that they encourage everyone to literally just pray for your team for 15 minutes in this giant room. And it was a very special time. And I feel like I do an okay job of praying for my team, but when I was told you're going to do this for the next 15 minutes, it was very special, and it made me really stop and try to understand what their needs were and pray for them. So it was pretty cool. It was really, really cool.
Yeah. Man, Lance, thank you for that. I have to think that of course, that this means so much to you now. There was a point in time in your life when it would not have meant as much as it does, right? So,
Yeah.
so tell us about that journey of faith that you had, kind of leading up to all of that. But what was your journey of faith?
Yeah. So it was kind of all right around the same period in time of my life when I started with Christian Brothers in 2011. The only automotive experience I had before that was about 10 months as a service advisor in an express lube at a local Toyota dealership. So very not glamorous. I felt like I was just punching in a number every day to clock in and clock out. Nobody really knew who I was. And that was the only time I had working in automotive. And I saw an ad on Craigslist back in 2011 for a local automotive shop with weekends off. And I was like, that's right up my alley. I was in my mid 20s. I was living a totally different life then. I've always been very responsible, and my parents taught me from an early age to work hard and make a good hand. So I never had a problem, at any job that I ever held. And I've always gotten promoted everywhere that I've been. But I was definitely doing what I wanted to do at that time of my life, single, partying, doing everything. And, but I was still going to make it to work on time, on Monday. And so I applied for the job, and, I was told that I was one of 10, candidates, and then narrowed down to 5, and then narrowed down to 2. And then I was picked for the position. And I started in 2011. Everything was great as a service advisor, just working with one other person at the time, my service manager. Again, living in an apartment on my own, single, doing whatever I wanted to do, having a great time. The previous owner, the original owner of our shop, Paul, who Danny knows very well, um, he was molding me and shaping me and I really didn't even know it the whole time. And in 2013, he promoted me to be the service manager of our shop in Flower Mound, and so I had more roles and responsibilities, and um, it was really fun to be able to start to lead a team, and think a little bit bigger at that time. Simultaneously, my mom was diagnosed with stage 4 breast cancer, literally right around that same time. I was also working for the Dallas Cowboys at the time. So I was a flag runner. So I was down on the field, leading the team out of the tunnel, running in the end zones when they scored. I mean, it was the coolest opportunity. People would pay money if you posted that on eBay, and I was getting paid to do it and had all the swag and everything. It was awesome. And so I was doing all that, and then my mom got diagnosed with breast cancer, and so things started to kind of change in my life. Like what is really priority at this point? Um, Started dating, um, who now is my wife. We were dating at the time, and just kind of really trying to figure things out. And then um, 2015, literally the day that um, my mom had passed away from cancer. Uh, I'll kind of tell this story in two parts. I got a phone call the very next morning from a lady at our Christian Brothers Support Center inviting me down to an interview for the Future Franchise Leadership Academy that I was nominated to be in by Paul. And I had to explain to her that, like, literally my mom had passed away hours before that. And I felt so bad for the girl because she was like, I don't know, maybe it was her first week or something. She didn't even know what to say. She was like, how do you even answer anything like that, you know? And I was like, man, I probably should have come at that a little bit different. Um, but yeah, so that was really kind of a strange time being ready to go in this brand new potential career changing opportunity, but at the same time losing my mom. Um, the special part, and what really kind of going back to the question, that Danny asked about my faith journey. Um, I, so we weren't really brought up in the church. My parents tried to get us to go to church when we were young. We thought a lot about going. We just didn't want to go, and she never really dragged us to church. She tried. We went to a predominantly black church because my mom was black and my dad is white, and that's where she felt comfortable, and my dad had no problem with that. And so we had gotten baptized, me, my brother, and my dad, who was originally Jewish, in that church when I was in high school, and it didn't really mean much. I remember it not meaning much at that time. So fast forward back to when my mom passed away, I was in the room with my mom that night. Courtney and I both were, and we were engaged at this time, scheduled to get married on April 23rd of 2016, and it was October of 2015 when my mom was passed away. And so we're in the room, and I'm holding my mom's hand, and I remember the nurse, hospice nurse, telling me she's this is it, like she's about to go. And so we're sitting there, and I'm holding my mom's hand, and I remember my mom, Courtney, was in there, and I'm really glad that she was, because this is something that we'll get to share for the rest of our lives. But my mom looked up. She had been completely zoned out on medicine for the last 48 hours at this point. They were delivered in the middle of the night, FedEx trucks and stuff. And she was pretty much just hadn't opened her eyes for like 2 days. And she sat there, and she opened her eyes so big and looked up, and took one huge deep breath, and then slowly closed her eyes and just had this almost a smile on her face. I know it sounds weird, but man, she really did. She almost had a smile on her face, and then her eyes closed, and that was the last breath that she ever took. And Courtney and I looked at each other and we were like, did you feel that? Did you feel something here right now? And we both literally were like, that had to have been Jesus that came and took her right now. And she knew it. Like she just knew it. And man, that was it. We felt something in that room that we had never felt before. We immediately, it wasn't even like we had to sit there and try to convince each other what we just felt. Like we just knew that was the Holy Spirit that had come down. That was Jesus that had taken her right then and there. And so we started going to church after that. We started going to my mom's church, the church that I got baptized in. And it lasted for a while, probably a year or two. But we felt like that wasn't the place for us. And so we stopped going and we didn't check any other churches out at that point. Fast forward to after we get married, April 23rd, 2016, we get married. And then January, the first Wednesday in January of 2017, my service manager, Tim, who we were just coworkers at the time, invited me to a Bible study at Northview Baptist Church. And our good friend, Trent, was going to be teaching on the book of James, and he wanted me to come check it out. And I was reluctant at first, and I was like, I don't know, man, I guess. And I didn't want to disappoint him. And so I showed up, and it was just enough to get me interested to want to come back the next week. It was just enough. And then that was it. After that, it didn't take long for my wife to see a change, I guess, in the first couple months that I started going to those Bible studies. I remember her saying to me, why don't we just start going there on Sundays, since you like going on Wednesdays anyway? And so I said, yeah, that'd be great. And kind of the rest has been history. We've been members there, and we're involved, and we love the Bible studies that we're in. I feel like just thinking back and remembering where we were and where we are now, we have learned a lot, just in our faith walk. And so that's kind of the journey as far as our faith goes, I guess. I mean, we're obviously still in the process of learning a lot, but we feel very much we have a solid foundation now, and thinking back to where we were and where we are now, we know why.
So you said when your mom passed, you felt that desire. I mean, something in the room, obviously, Jesus coming to get her, and that was, you said from then on, we went to church, right? When was the actual moment you said, you know what, Jesus, I surrender to you, come into my life? Was it in the hospital room then?
No, it wasn't, because we had stopped going to my mom's church for a while before we came to Northview. When we met with our pastor at Northview in his office, it was extremely enlightening for us, and he made us pray the sinner's prayer again. And he told Courtney and I that, this should be, because we told him, we said, we've been out of the church for a little while since, my mom has passed, and here are the reasons why. We had some issues, about the church, and he convinced us, otherwise, that this is bigger than that, and that, it should be a recommitment to God that we do this, that we join, and actually that we get re-baptized, because Courtney said the same thing when she was younger. She got baptized, but it didn't mean anything. She didn't remember it. And so on our 1-year wedding anniversary, we were baptized at Northview, both Courtney and I, as a recommitment to each other and a recommitment to God. And so that was it from that point forward. Doing that with my wife, on our 1 year anniversary was when I said, this is from now on how we're going to live.
Yeah. So, and again, I'm just for our listeners, I want to be very, very clear here. So you're talking about a recommitment. So at some point, like the sinner's prayer is just words, right? So unless the heart is involved in that, it doesn't mean anything. So are you saying earlier your heart was involved and accepted Jesus earlier, and this was a recommitment, or was the first time like, yeah, we're going through the motions, and this time it's like, you know what, Christ, come into my life,
Yeah,
like for real.
absolutely. That was it. We were just going through the motions until I realized this time around that it didn't mean anything the first time, and everything that
Yeah.
I've done since then up until now was not committing myself to the Lord, even though that I was baptized, back then. And so it was our pastor. I mean, he literally made us say, you know, if because he knew, we told him this is where we've been in our life. We've been out of the church, and so he knew, well, you've not been committed, so you need to commit now, and recommit if we had been baptized before. So that's where that comes
Yeah.
from.
Yeah. Awesome. That's great.
Yeah, yeah. So Lance, I'm fortunate enough to know some of these stories, but share with the listeners some of the things that have gone on in your life that are literally just kind of only God. Only God could have done that type moments in your life.
Yeah. So, a lot happened after we got married, and we've moved on, and now things are going great at the business. Um, uh, I'm done with the Future Franchise Leadership Academy. I graduate from that in 2017. So now I'm trying to figure out what are we doing here? What's the next step? Paul's probably working on his third or fourth grandkid at that point, I think. And so he's looking to probably have more time with them. And so 2019, we start looking at transitioning me in and him out. And so we do what we need to do to figure that out. And January 1st, 2020 is when I officially take over as owner and franchisee of the business that had been booming and growing every year for the
Wow.
last 15. And so it's super excited to take over, signed the paperwork, ready to go. And they literally shut the entire world down a month later. And so I'm like, how's this going to work? Literally had no idea. I'm fresh into it. Just literally changed bank accounts into my names. So they deemed us essential. We were deemed essential immediately, as an auto repair shop. So I told the team, we're not closing early. We're not opening late. We're going to stay the course. God's got us, right? We just need to focus on this. And so that's what we did. We were very fortunate throughout the whole process to be able to still meet payroll and take care of the guests that did need work done to their cars with, all the things that went along with the masks and the sheets in front of everything and all the plastic stuff and so we had to do it all. But the entire time I'm thinking to myself, like, there is nothing I can do here. Like, I'm being told what to do. I'm being told how I'm supposed to interact with people. There are people that are coming in that are not excited about this whole thing. And, I can't, what am I supposed to do about that? But I've started realizing, like, I'm not in control of any of this at all. And that was a big moment for me, like, during COVID, to understand it can all be taken away, and just like that. And there's literally, as a problem solver, naturally as a problem solver, this is a problem I cannot solve. And so that was January. February, we get a phone call. Courtney and I get a phone call from CPS that says you need to go pick up your then 9-year-old nephew and 2-year-old niece from your brother's house, who's an hour and a half north of here. Didn't tell us why, just you need to go and get them. So we did that afternoon. My wife literally quit her job the next day because she's now a stay-at-home mom with 2 kids.
Mm.
Um, my brother was going through some very hard times, and CPS had gotten involved, and I needed to go take the kids for a while. And so now we are at home, and Courtney's at home. I'm at work with no idea how every day is going to go. And we have 2 kids that aren't ours, that one's 2 and one's 9. Um, and so everything's like, how are we even going to do this? Um, in this particular situation, there was no assistance. It was just like, you're doing your family a favor by taking these kids in, but it's not really like we're paying you, money for food or anything like that. So now we have to figure that out. So yeah, that went on for a while. Then they shut the schools down. We had just enrolled the 9-year-old in school, and right down the street, and then they shut the schools down. So now Courtney's a stay-at-home mom teacher, and so having to figure that out. But again, through this whole thing, it was like, what can we do? We're not in control of any of these things. Literally nothing. And we just kept thinking that I guess we're blessed to be able to have a house big enough that we can have these kids right now. And, I do have a business that at least there's families that that depend on me and that I can do something about that. And those were the things that we kind of held on to. In April or May, things started opening back up, and our business had the highest, what we call car count summer that it's ever had at that point. People were coming in like crazy, needing stuff done. And every year after that, it's been a banner year. And Danny asks me this question sometimes since then, because he's walked with me through that whole process during that time. He's like, what did you learn through that? And I'm like, I'm not in control of nothing, man. I literally am not in control of anything. Like, I think I know, but I have no idea, and it's those were all moments that God had his hand in the entire time. And I didn't know it at the time, but I see it now. And I think kind of moving forward in my life, I'm going to do the things that I can do, but I'm not going to be surprised if it doesn't work out the way that I think it should work out.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because I literally have no control. And so, man, all of 2020, is God showing his hand in everything for sure.
Yeah, I don't know why they made y'all essential. I mean, couldn't you do auto repair virtually online?
Yeah, oh yeah.
Just turn that wrench right there. Yeah, don't worry.
Yes.
Hey, a lot of pressure under there, but just keep turning.
That's right.
Right.
Yeah, 2020, man. That was you're not obviously you're not alone. I mean, that was gosh. I think we all forgot about it. Honestly, if you think hard enough, you can remember how bad it was. But everybody put that out of their mind that year. It was rough. It was rough.
Yeah.
A lot of good things happened. This podcast was born out of 2020. I mean, there's a lot of good things that happened in 2020, despite everything. I mean, wasn't just the pandemic, right? The whole nation was in an uproar, protests everywhere.
Yeah.
It was just, it was madhouse. But yeah.
Yeah.
What a tough time. You're not the first person I've had on this show too that said I literally just started this business when 2020 happened.
It's crazy. Yeah.
That's hard. That's hard.
Yeah.
Well, so Lance, one of the things that I know that is important for men, and we're going to kind of sidetrack just a little bit because I think this is really important, and I think it probably helped you to get to where you are now and able to kind of see some of the things that you're able to see, and we're going to talk about your wonderful family too in a few minutes, which is awesome in itself. But you kind of mentioned going to the men's study. And, one of the things that we talk about, with men is how important it is that men meet together, that they have a posse, that they got a group that they can meet with, study with, pray with, all those different things. And I know that you've been a part of some of that. Can you explain, what that has meant to you in your walk with Christ.
Yeah, absolutely. So, man, from so many different aspects, from the fact that I think for me at the time, being such a new, um, I guess, believer, really, kind of new in this whole thing, in the studies or with the groups, knowing that I wasn't out on an island, that I had a group of really good guys that we were in a texting thread. We could text each other, and I could reach out if I was ever struggling with anything or needed prayer for anything. That was really one of the most important things. But to me, I've always been the person to where I've never really wanted to disappoint anyone. And what these groups have done for me is give me a sense of accountability. Ultimately, we look up for everything, but when I see my brothers in Christ, and I think to myself, man, I don't want to disappoint any of these guys. I want to be there for them just like I know that they want to be there for me. And so I want to make good decisions, and I want to think clearly, and be in a service mindset. But I really do believe that relationships between men with other men is a very special bond. The conversations that men are going to have are going to be different than the conversations that you're going to have with your wife, and we should have it that way, right? I should be able to talk to the boys about some things that are bothering me and not bring that home to my wife. And so that's very special to me. But being able to walk through life with these guys, especially some of them that are much wiser than I am. One of the things I found out, I'm not a good golfer, but I like to play golf. And one of the things I found out is that if I pair up with somebody that's better than me, I typically play a little bit better. Even though I may feel like ahead of time I'm intimidated, usually I end up playing a little bit better throughout the game, throughout the round. And I think it's the same way with the guys that you hang out with. If they're a little bit better than you are, you're going to learn something from them, and get a little bit better. And so that's how I feel about these men's groups that I'm in, and I'm lucky to be a part of a couple, both with Danny. We love to serve together as men, and so these are all special bonds that Tim and I talk about it a lot of the time. Tim's my service manager and a good friend, and we talk about it a lot of times that we would rather be with each other than really kind of anywhere else or doing anything else on certain nights of the week.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you, Lance, for that, because that is so important, and it when men get involved in things like that and really commit to it, it really has a tendency to change their lives for the better. They become better husbands, they become better fathers, they become better men in the community, and so it's awesome that you're a part of all that. Now let's get to the thing that I know you really want to talk about. You really want to talk about those 3 kiddos of yours. So let's tell the story of that, because the first one is especially they're all great, but the first one is really kind of a humdinger. So
yeah,
if we can say that, can we say a humdinger on this? And anybody knows
I
what
think
that
so.
means? Yeah. All right.
I think so. Yeah. So when Courtney and I first got together, we had a discussion about adoption. Courtney was adopted when she was very young, and she had also placed a child for adoption when she was a teenager, through the same agency, the same agency that she was adopted through. So we talked about it when we first got together, and I said, yeah, when the time comes and we have the means, absolutely, I think that would be great. Whatever our family looks like by then or not. So fast forward, and we had just started the adoption process in January 2020. When, like I said, that month later, we got our niece and nephew. We had put the process on hold right then and there so that we could give 100% of our time to our niece and nephew at that point. And we really didn't know how long it was going to last. They ended up going back home right before Christmas of that year. So we had picked back up with the adoption process in 21. We finished all of our paperwork and had everything done that we needed to. I don't know, sometime in the beginning of 22, the middle of 22. We had also moved at that point. We had just moved houses, and so we had not sold our other house yet. It was a weird time for housing, and so we were, for like 4 months, we were trying to figure out if we're going to sell this other house before we adopt a baby. And it was like, who knows what's going to happen. So we get approved. We get an email on a Wednesday. I was leaving the gym, and it's like 6 o'clock in the evening. We get an email from our caseworker, says you've been approved to adopt through Christian Homes and Family Services. Congratulations. Now basically you wait for a match with a birth mother at this point. And so that was Wednesday at 6 p.m. It was November, and so Friday morning I was hunting. I usually don't hunt during the week, but I was hunting that Friday morning. Got home about 11 o'clock in the morning, and I just gotten out of the shower, and Courtney walks into the bathroom and she goes, "Hey, are you almost done?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I just got out of the shower." And she's like, "Carolyn's on the phone." Carolyn's our caseworker. And I'm like, "Okay." And she's like, "Can you hurry?" I'm like, "Yeah." So I dry off real quick and I throw some clothes on, and we go sit down in our kitchen, and we put our caseworker on speakerphone, and she goes, "Hey, so how are you guys feeling?" We're like, "Fine, I guess. You're about to tell us." And she's like, "Yes. So the reason why I'm calling is you guys have been chosen by a birth mother." And we're like, "That's crazy. You just emailed us on Wednesday, like 2 days ago." And she's like, "Yeah, totally." And I'm like, we're like, "Okay." So I bust out my, pen and notebook, and I'm starting to take notes, and she's telling everything about the birth mother and the story behind the whole thing. And so I really do kind of need to go into detail about the situation with the birth mother to kind of understand how really this was an absolute God moment. So birth mom was 19 at the time. This was her third child. She had placed the second one up for adoption. So she went to the hospital to deliver on Monday, and delivers the baby Monday evening. The nurses say, "Where's your car seat? Where's all your stuff?" She says, "I'm not taking the baby home." So they immediately call adoption agencies in the area. This is in East Texas, and several, probably half a dozen. One of them is Christian Homes, the adoption agency that we just got, that we're in. It was Monday, so we hadn't even been approved yet. As far as we knew, and nothing was going on. And so she chooses the caseworker with Christian Homes, and they're bedside with her literally 2 hours after she delivers, talking through with her the options, telling her what she can or can't do, this and that and the other. So she thinks about it that night. The next day, this is all coming from our caseworker, right? The next day, she meets with the caseworker out there in East Texas, and she says, "Yes, I want to do this." She signs her relinquishment, and then they give her a list of profiles on Wednesday. So the next day is Wednesday. She signs her relinquishment Wednesday. They give her a list of profiles that evening. One of those profiles was ours. The crazy part of this story is we were approved at 6 p.m. on Wednesday. Our caseworker said she hit the approve button in the system, and 30 minutes later, she got an email from the caseworker in East Texas saying we have a match. And she was like, "There's no way. The Mutzmans? I just hit the enter button. I just approved them like 30 minutes ago." And she was like, "That's the one she chose." And so she literally, we had been approved for 30 minutes before we were matched with a birth mother. And so Aaliyah is our little angel baby for sure. It's just like, I don't even know how that could have even, none of my friends are smart enough to have scripted that. You know what I mean? Like that's That's crazy. And
Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Hey,
none.
so Jeff has adopted kids too. So y'all
Nice.
share that in common.
Awesome. That is so
Yeah.
awesome.
I have
So
2 bios and 2 adopted.
that's awesome. That is awesome.
We didn't get approved within 30 minutes or accepted or whatever.
Matched. Yeah, matched.
Matched.
We had to
Yeah.
ask our caseworker. We said, "So is this like a record?" And she was like, "Actually, it is. The previous was like 2 weeks." She said, "Y'all did it in 30 minutes." Never had anybody do it in 30 minutes. She said, "We can never invite y'all to any orientation because people will have false hopes."
Yeah.
So that was our first, and it was just like we heard that and we go, that's crazy that how that worked out. Well, we got back on the adoption list a few 6 months ago, 7 months ago. It didn't take us nearly as long. All of our stuff was still fresh from Aaliyah, so we were able to hop back on the list. And so this was May. We're working with the same caseworker, and she calls us and she says, "Hey, I'm going to show your profile to a birth mom if you want." She tells us about the birth mom, and sure, that's great. Yes, let's do it. We won't hear from her for a week. She emails us, and this was in May of this year, and she says, "Hey, just want to let y'all know that birth mom chose a different family. So you guys are back on the list, and who knows? Could be a while, could not be a while. We've had an influx of birth moms lately, but just have to wait. We'll see what God has in store for you guys." And so we were like, sure. And then we hang up the phone and we're like, well, what happened with us? Like, why did she not choose us? What did we do? And so we, literally, like, that's how we kind of felt for overnight, because the next morning at 9:00 in the morning, our caseworker calls Courtney. I'm at work. She calls Courtney, and Courtney 3 ways into me, and she goes, "Hey, are you busy?" And I'm like, "No." And she goes, "Carolyn's on the phone." And I'm like, I know what that means. And so at noon, we go home and we have our presentation call, and we're on the phone. Same thing. We're sitting at the kitchen table. I'm taking notes, and there's 3 caseworkers on the phone this time. And how are you guys doing? Okay, yes, we've been through this before. Tell us all about the birth mom. She tells us about the birth mom. She's 38. This is her 6th. She already has 6 kids. So this would be birth number 7. And she just can't. There's a story, and so placing for adoption. And so we're like, okay. And we go, what can we talk about, like due date for the baby? And they're like, oh yeah, we can definitely talk about due date if we can transition this call into that. We just want to know that you guys are committed. We want to know that y'all are committed. We're like, yeah, we're committed. Of course we're committed. We did this with y'all, 2 years ago. And so like we got back on the list, and they're like, okay, well, we can go ahead and transition this call to talk about the due date of the babies. And we were like, we looked at each other and we said, did she say S at the end of that? Babies? And they started laughing on speakerphone, and they were like, oh, you caught that? They were like, what are you talking about? And they were like, yep, they're twins. And we were like, you got to be kidding me. And we said, no way. So when are they due? Oh, they've already been born. You got to be kidding me. Yeah, when are you going to come get them? So
oh, wow.
That was Wednesday in May of this year. We went and picked them up on a Friday, drove to Abilene and picked them up on a Friday. And so they just turned 5 months old. And so Aaliyah will be 3 years old next week. Or no, I'm sorry, at the end of this week on Friday. And the twins just turned 5 months old, twin boys. And so, man, we're, it just goes along with the whole thing we're talking about here. Like, I have no control over anything, man. Yeah. I think it's going to go one way and it completely goes another. And we literally just hanging on for the ride, man.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, so
I would have more to say, but I'm a little speechless on it right now.
Yeah,
our adoption process was different. One of our adopted kids is from Uganda, And so that process took about 1.5 years, 2 years, cost more money than we don't have, right? We don't have that money. Don't know where it came from still to this day. But we're not in debt because of it. It's all paid off. He's been home for 12 years. We never had an issue with that, but we don't have no idea where it came from. Had a lot of struggles and everything because, third world country, court systems and all that other stuff was hard. And then my second adoption, our youngest son, who's 11 now, his was through CPS, Texas CPS. So we went through that whole process. So that now that wasn't a financial issue, no, but both of them have issues that they came with that we have dealt with for a long time. So my wife loves to say, adoption is great. It's hard, but it's great.
Yeah.
We can't imagine not doing it. We can't imagine our kids not being a part of our family.
Yeah.
But for anyone who stands up there and says adoption is just wonderful all the time, it's hard.
It is.
It's hard.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah. Especially, and all three of our kids we got when they were literally a week old, all three of them.
Yeah.
And so they don't have any bad habits yet, but we don't know what kind of genes they have, or like.
Yeah. So, our son came to us at 18 months old, and he had already had trauma that he had dealt with just in that short amount of time. And you'd be surprised how trauma that early can impact a whole life.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But bless you for doing that, man.
Thank you, man. No, it really is a blessing. And we, like you said, it's not easy, but it's rewarding. And we have such a fun time. And the boys now are getting to the point where they're giggling at things and starting to move around. And, we have some property here outside of town. And so I'm thinking, I can't wait for them to go clean the barn and do all the projects. And it's going to be great.
Yeah.
Well, so, all right, Lance. So let's get down to kind of what it looks like for you to spend time in the Word and time with the Lord and prayer and things like that. What does that look like for you?
Yeah, so that has been a very important part of my life, making it a very important part of my life, especially now with the kids in the house, and hearing all the time how important it is to protect our house or tend our garden that we've been talking about. This is a huge responsibility that I know I have, and it's swim or sink, if you're asking me. And so intentionality is a big thing. I'm up early every day. Some days I feel like I can wake up and do what I need to before babies start crying, and some days I feel like they wake up crying with me, and I just got to figure out when I'm getting it in. But I'm up early every day, and I'm in the Word. I do. I started a chronological Bible reading plan this year, January 1st of this year, on the Bible app. And quite frankly, it's been one of the best things for me to stay grounded in the Word. And I figure whether I'm reading it chronologically or picking verses out, randomly but for a reason, it's still all good. And so I've stayed on top of it. I've gotten behind a couple of times throughout the year, but I've always caught back up. It's given me an accountability because I don't want to get behind, because I don't want to have to play catch up. But it keeps me in the Word every single day. The other thing that it's done too, Danny, is when I was in grade school and through middle school and high school, I never liked to read. I always felt like it was a burden to read, and now when I'm in the Bible every single day and I'm actually reading every single day, I've enjoyed starting to read now. And so there are specific books that, friends have recommended, between Screw Tape Letters that I just got done reading that I was super excited to finish. And I know it's crazy. It was super creepy.
Decided to finish.
I decided to finish. Yeah.
Well, I get so confused in that one. Ooh.
Man, very, very creepy. But a couple of other good books, that have been recommended. And I've realized that if I'm going to read, because I've always felt like it's been a burden, that I'm going to make it something that is meaningful, right? I'm going to read scripture, or I'm going to read, Christian-based books, Bible-based books. And so Yeah, man, it's changed now. Now I love reading, and we've got a good friend, Brian, that's a big reader, and he and I text each other, about books. And I'm like, who is this guy? I don't I've never liked to read, but I do. So yeah, the word for sure every day, prayer, with my family. I want my daughter and my kids to be part of our prayer life. We pray before meals, and I want them to see that. Aaliyah is 3 years old this Friday, and she knows what it means to pray and how important that is, and says amen at the end. And there's nothing that warms my heart more than watching her fold her hands and at the end say amen to a prayer before supper. So um, when I see that, it gives me the motivation to want to keep that going, right? And so that's super important for me. But man, the accountability with the guys too. I mean, I get random Facebook messages from Danny and other guys all the time about what this 30-second, minute and a half video of a pastor has something really good to say. So I feel like it's always in my face and I'm always around it, being surrounded by it. But intentionality is the biggest thing. And we talk a lot about that in our men's groups, really waking up early, getting my alarm to go off early so that I can specifically come into my office and have my time to read. That takes intentionality. And it's to the point now, though, where it's just a part of my life and I actually just enjoy doing it, especially when it's a circus around here most of the time anyway. It's really cool. We had at our annual franchisee convention this year, which was in Palm Desert, California, one of the keynote speakers was an attorney named Bob Goff. And he's written, Bob?
Love Does.
Oh, yeah, that's the book. That's what I'm reading.
Book.
That's
Great
what I'm
book.
reading. Yes.
Yep.
I love this book.
That's a
Man,
fantastic book.
Fantastic. It is a great book. I love it. It made me cry like 3 times. It's so good.
Yep.
For sure.
It's fantastic.
Yes. So yeah, now I'm all over it now. I enjoy reading. I really do. So
he's been up here. He's been local speaking a few times up here too.
Oh really? Okay.
Yeah, he'll just show up at churches every now and then. I'm like, I didn't even know he's coming.
I'm ashamed I hadn't heard of him until we were at our convention.
But you know what's funny? In that book, he says, I don't want to be one of those people that you can't reach, right? So here's my phone number.
Yes.
Call me. Yes. I have called him and emailed him and received nothing back. So I'm like, you have become what you said you didn't want to become.
Yes.
Because I wanted to put him on this show, and he's like, there's no answer at the. You get a message on the phone number, and it says email us here. So I did both, and I got nothing back.
Oh man,
good job, Bob.
Yeah,
yeah. Bob, if you're watching, get a hold of me. I'd love to have you on the show.
Yeah, right.
Hey, Lance. So here in a minute, we got to wrap up. We're coming up against the time. So just a couple of verses that you really enjoy that mean something to you. Favorite verses?
Yeah, Proverbs 3, 5, and 6. Trust the Lord with all your heart. Do not lean on your own understanding. In all your ways, acknowledge Him, and He will make your paths straight. Really take that one to heart for sure. So many times I want to do things on my own or think that I can and fix, and then obviously I tell my story about 2020, and I'm like, oh yeah, I need to trust in the Lord with all my heart for sure. So yeah, that one is a great one. And then Romans 8:18, for I consider the sufferings of this present time are not worthy to be compared to the glory that is to be revealed to us. That gets me through the day when maybe I feel like things are snowballing one thing after the next, or how can I get hit with one more thing? I can suffer now because the glory later is going to be totally worth it. So.
Awesome. Yeah.
Man, Lance, I appreciate you coming on, man. This has been fantastic. I think I say this every episode. We can go another couple hours talking about the great things God's done, and warning you too, because the more you really dig into this, the more the enemy's going to attack.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Just be prepared.
Well, and the screw tape letters told you exactly how he's going to do a lot of that, right?
Yeah.
If you
No
understood
kidding.
it, yeah.
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 You had to. I know when I started reading that, I'd have to like, well, wait a minute, who's the enemy in this, and who's the, I was like, he had to change the way you thought about
Shoot,
everything.
man, I would have read a paragraph and go, did he just speak English or not? I'm
Yeah.
not
Yeah.
what I just read.
Yeah.
C.S. Lewis will do that to you, man. He's just like on a whole different plane,
For sure.
Yeah, this dumb redneck right here is not near at that level. That's for sure.
Lance, thanks so much for coming. I appreciate your time.
Thanks,
Thank you,
buddy. I
guys.
appreciate you.
Thank
Yep.
you. Folks, if you want to learn more about who Jesus is, visit us at thetestamentpod.com. That's thetestamentpod.com. And click on the gospel message at the top of the page. Also, you can click on the Testament Podcast tab and learn more about our podcast and see what our most recent episodes are that we've launched. In addition, we're always looking for guests who want to brag on God. So please send yourself or someone you know to thetestamentpod.com and drop us a line with your interest, or email us at thetestamentpod@gmail.com. We'll send you all the information we need in order to book you for an interview. Remember, do your part. Help us get these testimonies out there. Follow us on Facebook and Instagram, and then like and share our posts so your friends can see what we're doing too. So thanks everybody for listening. Bye.